Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. This morning we have PPI. So that pretty much just like dominates everything. Well, let's go grab the links. So you've just blah blah. Why is that? I just need to keep that muted. Okay. I wish that YouTube didn't autoplay things. You know what I mean? Copy. Okay. Oops, wrong spot. Okay. Crypto is doomed. That might be the case. Let's do this first and then let's talk about that. Okay. So there's all the links. Let's pull in the Chrome. All right. Pause that. Pause that. Okay. Okay. So anyways, overnight, well, yesterday was a little bit of a ride. So yesterday they had some strong moves. Well, I wouldn't say like a super strong move, but you know, the open was pretty good. And then they're saying, I don't know if I completely buy this because it just doesn't seem to me like the sort of thing that would normally affect markets. But Rubio said something about taxing buybacks, which to me is actually makes sense. Honestly, if you do a dividend, you would get taxed capital gains on it. And so companies are instead doing buybacks because it gets around the taxes. And so I think it does make sense that maybe you should tax those so that people, you know, maybe more companies would just do dividends then at that point. But whatever, people think that that's why the market moved down. And so markets did move down, kind of ended the day kind of flat though. Right, so it wasn't a huge deal. Now this morning, they're up again. I'm looking. Let's just pull up CNBC here really quick. You know, looks like there's some good earnings today, or at least some okay company news, and there is some optimism on the U.S. trade deal. I'm reading this morning. Conservatives are getting the language of the budget deal, and it doesn't sound very good. I maintain my opinion that I would be extremely cautious about, you know, just going all in on the theory that the budget deal is going to happen and is going to be great. I think there is still a reasonably high chance, I don't want to say high, but a reasonable enough chance that we should still be concerned about it. I'm not so sure that Republicans can really sign on to this because it just looks awful. The language in it sounds awful. I'm really actually quite shocked that this is the deal that they came out with. Like straight up, is just, it doesn't read good to me. I haven't been able to read all of the language, but the summaries that I'm seeing aren't good. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But really, what matters today is this PPI number that's coming out in 8 minutes. So we're going to keep our eye on that. Yesterday, we had a pretty okay move off of the PPI. It was yesterday, we got 0.2 versus an expected 0.2 on the core CPI. The total CPI was 0 versus 0.1, but versus an expected 0.1, and the previous was negative 0.1. So this is kind of like, inflation is in line with the way that things are supposed to be going. It is what the market expects, but the market has been saying, there's some risk here, and so we've been up. There's still a reasonable case to be made that everything's fine and we should go lower, and that the inflation data seems to be in support of that. Yesterday we did not break the support. If we come out and this PPI number is big, higher than expected, you could maybe break that. I mean, we retraced this whole move up though, so like we're in a little bit of a precarious situation. This move could result in a lot of drama, let's say. Yeah. So that's that. Let's see what we got here. All right. Thanks, guys. I'm just checking through here see if there's any. Germany just barely avoids a recession, says Zero Hedge. Interesting. That's like so I'm reading this story in Bloomberg. Nah, I don't want to read this right now. But they were saying, oh, hey, actually markets are totally want to invest in green stuff, and they just need direction from Congress. And I'm like, I mean, there is a lot of money out there for this sort of a thing, but that market hasn't been performing particularly well either. Okay. Anyways, so I did want to address this comment here in the interest rate channel. That was like in the middle of the night. Or was it? Oh, it's gone. Crypto is doomed, in my opinion, hijacked by gamblers and brokers. It could have been something, definitely. And Lord Lubu said, there's plenty of more cryptos to be made better if need be. It could take a generation or not. And I don't know how we got into that, but I think that we're talking about inflation and things like that. Well, so I do believe, personally, that cryptocurrencies got hacked. I'm looking at what Bitcoin is doing and what the people in charge of Bitcoin right now are saying, and they do not line up with my view of how cryptocurrencies are valued. And I've made some money off of that market theory, and I have a lot of historical data to back up that to back up that theory, and to see them going in the exact opposite direction, and then watch cryptocurrencies just become absolutely sick. I mean, really, the cryptocurrency market is not what this downturn is not like the post Mt. Gox downturn. It's not the same thing. And to me, the blockchain looks sick. Like, people are buying more than they should be, and they're not using it all, and there's no reason for more people to come into the market. And so these people that keep bottom fishing, they just get punished every time. You can see they did it. You can actually even kind of see it in the chart. You see these, like, here's a spike up, people buying it. Oh, maybe it's over, and then nothing happens. They get out, and when they get out, more people give up, and it goes lower. And I think that this whole formation that we're seeing, maybe, I mean, I don't want to make like a hard call on it, because it could go higher, but I think that this may be one of those things where it's going to come back at some point, and then more people are going to give up, and it's going to move lower, below the 3,300. And it's because people aren't using it. Because people aren't using it, there's no reason for new people to come in. Because why would they? They can't use it. Not going up. So, no reason for regular retail investors to be excited about cryptocurrencies right now. And I kind of wonder, with the way that the blockchain is and everything, I kind of wonder if you can really have another crypto bull run with the state that Bitcoin is in right now. Okay, so there's a new high. Yep. Interesting. Okay, so here we're coming up on the news. Just as a reminder here, for the PPI number, we are expecting 0.1. Normally we would get 0.2. But this time they're expecting 0.1. I think that a 0.2 number would probably be okay. But I think it would probably still push us down. And I would be on the lookout for this to possibly be higher. In fact, I need to put... okay. So here the number comes out. I'm not seeing it yet. They did move higher. Oops. Quite aggressively so. Okay. Initial jobless claims 239 versus 225. Okay, estimate, so that's worse than expected. That could be part of what's moving us up. Retail sales minus 1.7 versus minus plus 0.1 expected. So retail sales were not as good as expected. Come on, give me the number that matters. Okay, it was in line. So PPI month over month negative 0.1 versus 0.1. Core PPI 0.3 versus a 0.2. Core PPI was actually greater than expected. So that gives me a little bit of pause here. I don't know if a short here makes sense. Let's see, yeah. Okay, maybe let's try it. Okay. Okay. Shoot. Missed the exit. Utah retail sales advance. Month over month, December, minus 0.1 expected versus 0.1. Oh, shoot. Yeah. I see Digital Shot got caught on the same thing. That sucks. I was a good trade. I missed I didn't click the exit soon enough. I'll wait for this to calm down a little bit because I'm not comfortable with just taking this long here. There is quite a bit of absorption on the offer. They're at 045. 4,000 in relatively light liquidity is significant. Okay, it's still going. Hmm. Well, that's not how you want to get filled. E-mini is still moving down a bit. So I think not a whole lot hitting into 06 though. Man, the ES is really falling down now. Hmm. I'm not comfortable with that. Hey Jen, thank you for the good wishes. I hope you guys all make money. I am down 2 right now. I thought that was I'm really disappointed in that trade because I was thinking it was a really good call and I'm just pissed that I didn't get filled on the bid on the bottom and then they instantly pushed it back up 2 ticks. It was like, fuck. See, now the E-mini is just going down. We really need to see the E-mini catch some support here before we can take this. It has definitely slowed down though. And look there at that huge bid at 0.4 half. So that could be a that could be something that pulls and really flips us if we go through, but it can also be a really good support for a move higher. When the number of spots that we've moved past, the next big number I see on the upside is 06 half. 06 half, which is like right where we're stopping. And then beyond that, probably 09 half, 13, 15. But the degree of the move says that we could totally keep trending. But the degree of the move is also a little bit like too far. I don't know, too far. Too far for how far the E-mini has moved. Because the E-mini is not really, it's not that dramatic. 6 points. For Treasuries to move up like almost a whole point. U.S. retail sales collapsed in December. Yeah, that retail sales number was really bad. Okay. Digital shot still trying to go short. That's interesting. It does appear to me that they've flattened off. So there might be a gentle pullback here, but the question is if we go short here and they come back to 04 half, are they able to push through there and this thing unwinds? Or does it just find support there in range for a long, long time and then push higher? China seeks to lure U.S. with pledges to boost chip and other purchases. Mm-hmm. Except I don't think that's what the U.S. is really looking for. Well, that's interesting. You're getting a reasonable enough trading at 05 half right there. Like that's that 5K right there. That could be a level break. There could be if we tick back up, they might do a level break at 06.
Block sell.
Okay. Or somebody could decide to block sell. That's some pretty aggressive selling. I guess one of the thoughts is that didn't we think that the Christmas season sales and everything went pretty well? I think at some point early December they were saying it was, but maybe not. Maybe things didn't go so well in the second half of December, and that's maybe part of why the stock market, was really falling apart. Man, look at this. E-mini is gonna go for the lows of the day probably. Well, buying with that iceberg at 05 would have worked out really well for you. Look at that. Okay, so now that they're past that one, I think we could very easily see the 09 half. Shoot. Just be careful. That stacking up like that might be a sign of somebody wanting to get out. Okay. Man, E-mini is not happy. Not happy. Good morning, Uzi. Yeah, Digital Shot saying he was expecting to get some sort of a pullback. And it's not coming, is it? Well, we got the 2 ticks back that we almost took. Okay. That's not... should not be happening. Missed all the fun. I think there's gonna be plenty of fun today. Because this is a pretty strong move on mixed but overall negative data. What the fuck? Well, they really hit each other back and forth there, didn't they? But now it's not going offer again. Yeah, look at that. Okay. Well, if we're going to go short, this is the short I want to take. I'm not... I think your probability in an action like this gets really fuzzy, but there is definitely somebody stepping in there at 06 half. And they traded back and forth, and it was able to go bid again. But now they pushed it down, and it was quite aggressive. There was 6K on the bid that they pushed through, and now they tried offering it back up. They tried buying back up through the offer, and they were able to kick it down again. And it's going back and forth here, like a lot of volume. So we're kind of picking sides, but so far our guy has been doing okay. Okay, so you see now it goes bidless, and he didn't immediately smack it back down. Wife goes into work late today, so we were chatting before she left, and the 8:30 explosion happened while I was away. Look, and it goes offer again, strong offer. And that bid is kind of like trying to stand in the way too, though. Does he really have enough to do this? You gotta wonder, because somebody is really putting their neck out here at 06.5 to sell it. The E-mini did make new lows. I don't know if this is a spot where they could potentially find some support. And tick down. A lot of volume, but that didn't hold. Nothing in this report looks good. Well, okay. 06.5 going bid again. After them having taken it down at 06. Yeah. And pretty strong bids, too. It's not a good sign. And not a good sign for our hero. Difficult action. Tough to stay. S&P slowly start to recover for some upside. Yeah, they made 4 ticks up. So them sticking that big old fatty at 06.5 is like, I won, and this is where I'm gonna hold my spot now, and I'm going for more. If you could, I can do this. If they are able to trade back through that 06.5 again, I think it would be really negative, but at the moment, it seems like buyers still have it. Somebody tried to step in there, and I think they lost. That or it was all just a trick. But either way, that particular signal didn't work out. But they're stacking it there like they're really confident. Hmm. Downtick. Quite a bit is pulled here at 06 half. Like, since this price, obviously people pull when the price goes bid, but then since it's gone bid, that was like 2,000 pulled off. And they all show back up when it ticks back up. That's funny. PPI growth slowest since July 2017 as energy prices plunge. Was 0.3 versus 0.2. I don't get what they're saying. Like, yeah, it's the when you include the headline number month over month, it's the lowest, but that's because oil has been terrible. When you discount oil, inflation is still higher than expected, and it's 0.3, which is on the higher side of the numbers we get. So normally it's 0.2. It was 0.3. So I don't know, I'm probably wrong about something, but that particular number doesn't really quite catch for me. Well, there it goes. Through the big order. I don't really know if this 06 half is relevant anymore, but I mean, you did go for a little bit lower there again. Okay, so there's a 10K offer. So somebody definitely got their fill. Jeez. Zero Hedge tweets, "Dear JP Morgan, which asset will Jamie Dimon call a fraud next so we can buy it now?" It was kind of out of the blue. See, there's been a lot of volume traded at OA half. 30,000. Futures jump on latest daily trade deal optimism. February U.S. equities plunge after retail sales slump. Trade talks deadlocked. Yeah, he's just pointing out. Yeah, so I think what Dojo was meaning to say is yesterday people were so positive on trade talks, and now today they seem suddenly negative on trade talks, and the retail sales data is bad, and the sentiment is just completely changed, especially in the E-mini. I don't know. So now we were at 758 and now we're at 740. So about a 20 point
Block
decline.
sell.
I gotta take that. About a 20 point decline in the E-mini. Which is pre-market is pretty significant. I mean, this market is telegraphing like a complete disaster of a bear move. Yes. And I'm not 100% sure if that's justified. You know what I mean? Imagine where the S&P would be if the worst retail sales in a decade were reported when they should have been reported a month ago. Probably the same spot that they were because the markets were going down in December. They knew that things were bad, I think. Yeah. Somebody did a block sell there, but is ignoring them. Oh, 9.5 was a key level. I don't know. It's actually behaving okay here. What? That was crazy. What the heck is going on? That was 10,000 contracts traded like that. Holy shit. How did they do that? That was at 09. There was 3 big orders in there. So that's 5,000 of it. And the other 5,000 was just little orders. Less than 1,000 lots. Wow, how? That's just, wow, what the heck? Let's see if they can get 07.5 to go. Or will there be another iceberg there? The whole thing was just bonkers. It's kind of funny how happy Zero Hedge gets anytime that the market moves down. The perma bear. Jeez, okay. Pretty strong offer on the downtick. I think that I'm going to get triggered here at 07.5. Yep. But it didn't go. They did actually buy it back up there. So I don't think that really worked properly, but that's okay. See, that's more like what I would like to see. And then seeing that 07 pull, please. No? Fine. Fine! Be that way. Well, this recovery in the E-mini is bigger than the other ones. Stunning new poll shows that public support for capitalism is growing in America. Okay. See, I'm mad because I thought that if we filled that level that it would trigger a little bit further downside sort of a thing. Instead, what I'm seeing is that if I really wanted to go short, I could have done it. I could have gotten filled at 08 and maybe even possibly bought at 07.5 and just taken ticks because I might get an opportunity again to go short at 09, 08.5 and 09. Oh, the jigsaw Journalytics data server was not working correctly this morning. Swissel says that he thinks that there's going to be another push-up. Well, it is just like what I'm saying was right there is like it's not doing quite what I thought it was going to, is it? I don't think that what I'm seeing right here means that it's going to push up. I just think it means that if you want to go short, then I'm not short in the right spot. But I do know, so here's the case short. There was a significant pivot earlier in the week at 09.5. We traded 10,000 contracts there at 09 faster than I've ever seen. We're several ticks lower now. Shorts were kind of fighting it before anyways. And the E-mini is making a bit of a pullback. So I don't think that I should be taking this trade thinking that we're going to get like a huge unwind of this. Just, maybe some ticks. Maybe the 0.7 is just, I should take that. Let's do that and see if we can reposition ourselves. Now, the case for higher, I think, would have to be saying that if we're going to go higher, that we might move up to 13 would be the next step up. Yeah, so it's saying the pullback is too slow and there's no interest in low prices. Well, I think there should be more interest in selling it at 0.7 or 0.7 rather than there was, considering what happened here. Like here's the entry. You come down 4 ticks. Typically in this kind of action, you would be able to get filled there at 0.7, and they're not letting it go. It means that this is the bottom of the range, and we're short kind of more from the middle to bottom of it instead of from the middle to top of it. Whether or not we go higher or not, though, is probably really dependent on E-mini too, which is not always a frustrating trade, right? Okay, 50 lot sells into 0.7. I don't know. It's showing itself pretty balanced there at 0.7. So there's the 5-year is kind of struggling with this spot right here and is toying with the idea of going lower. Still having trouble sending data to Journalytics. Okay. So I'm just thinking about what you're saying there. The pullback is too slow, no interest in low prices. We're in a range for sure. Like, I think that this sell here was significant. This is definitely significant, and it would take a really strong move to get above that again. But this action to me is saying this is not something that's just going to immediately flip on its head right now. This is something that's going to range around here and toy with us for 30 minutes, and will say that it's going to be going for the lows, and then it will say that it's going to go for a new high, and it never quite does it before it finally just goes all at once, and you're like, okay, how would you know which way it's gonna, you know what I mean? Like the pullback trade, the one that's the hardest to really call, I think. Like probability wise, I think it's the most uncertain. Yes, so now Zero Hedge is pointing out what I was saying earlier, Remember Amazon's record holiday season? Online retailers saw biggest drop in sales on record in December. At the beginning of December, all the stuff that we were seeing was saying that things were really good. And now when we come back a month later and we get the numbers, they're saying that it's really bad. So there's a real contradiction there between what we were being told at the time and what we're finding out now, 2 months later. Will not send for 5 minutes. Okay, thanks. Then don't tell me for 5 minutes, please. Jerome Powell to the principal's office. Jerome Powell, principal's office. Hey, Waddle retweeting that. Would be interest in lower prices, then they would not like crazy push the prices on bid, but they do not do it. Someone is collecting for the last push. Maybe I just see it as like, if you want to get filled on something, you're gonna have a hard time getting filled here. You're gonna have a hard time getting filled here. And you're gonna have an easy time getting filled here. So, if I'm wrong and I'm short from 08, I don't really know that I'm wrong until I'm at 10. That's not good. And if I'm right, it has to go below 07. And even then, it could go to 06 half and pull back. That's not good. So if I'm going to take a position short, I need to see a signal again at like 09 and be short from 09. And take 09 and possibly just get out at 07 half. If it says I'm not ready to go yet. Suicide says, well, I'm going to have fun. So you went long at 07 half? Did you go long at 07 half? Or go long in there? Hey Lucas, how's this going? So that is a fairly strong offer at 0.5. No? Oh, Lucas got ran over. So you were trying to go short too, huh? Donald Trump is clearly elated about the Senate's collusion probe. Blah, 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 blah. I need to enunciate. This went short one time, two times, three times. When I finally decided to go long, guess what happened? That's when 09 happened, probably. Well, okay. 5 minutes later, it's still down. That's really annoying, Pete. Yeah, it's frustrating. So I took the short. I don't know if you saw what happened to me, but I took the short at 0.3 half, and it came down. And then I saw some absorption at 0.2 half, and I said, okay, I should get out here. And I barely didn't get filled, and then it immediately shot up 2 ticks, and I had to take the loss. I was like, oh man, that really sucks. Yes, and it seems the big ones wait them to absorb and get filled quickly without moving. So many of this 1K plus shorts followed by more longs. Yeah. So E-mini is pushing the low, like threatening the low again. But it's been slow, so I don't know if they're going to be able to make a new low. But here's the thing: the market, the equity market, opens in 8 minutes, right? If they open below 27.40 or so, we'll say, right, and then they immediately sell in the equity markets, that's going to really that's going to excite a lot of people. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, there was a couple more comments on this other thing. So yesterday, yesterday there was this thing on Future Trader 71, and he was saying, like the people that send me angry emails about political things that I've said, like, don't bother because I don't care, or I ignore them. And I commented on it. I said, "Oh, you said something liberal, didn't you?" Because honestly, I can say all sorts of crazy, stupid conservative shit here, and everybody will just be like, "Whatever, Seth." Because a lot of traders think that way too, right? And so they're not really going to get too triggered unless you say something liberal. Like if I came in here and I said, we should be a socialist country, like you guys would argue with me nonstop. Almost, it would never end. It would never end. It would be a constant plague on the stream, right? But I can say, as long as I don't trigger the social justice warrior mob, if I started coming in and saying a ton like there's only two genders or something like that, then maybe some people would take notice. But even then, probably not unless I was really popular, right? I'm just saying, traders tend to be conservative. And he was saying, well, he replied back to it. He was saying something to the effect of that people latch onto an idea because somebody that they follow said something, and they don't want to think for themselves. And it's kind of like, yeah, that's true. But it's like everything, it's more complicated than that, right? It depends on what you're talking about. Like if they mean to say Republicans only want a wall because Donald Trump said we should build a wall and they elected him and now they want a wall, that's total bullshit. Okay? Sorry. Donald Trump did not invent the wall. The wall has been a thing now my entire life. Okay? Ronald Reagan, he passed a law that gave amnesty to a lot of illegal immigrants in the United States. And they did not do any kind of border enforcement, and it never happened. And then 15 years later or whatever, it was still a problem. And so they decided they were going to have another bill. And this other bill was also going to involve some form of amnesty. And it didn't have enough border enforcement. And conservatives remembered what happened during Reagan and they killed it. And I have never in my life seen the conservative base more amped up than during that, what was it, 2006 immigration bill, right? Okay. Not really any border enforcement. And then a little bit later than that, they were able to get a law passed that at least said that we should make a wall, but it didn't allocate the funds for it yet. And ever since then, right? Now, that was like over 10 years ago, right? And they never allocated the money to it. Okay. And Republicans have been talking about it ever since. Mitt Romney, part of what kept him afloat when he was having a hard time during his primaries was that he ran to everybody's right on immigration. So Donald Trump did not invent the wall. Republicans have been on the wall now for 30 years, right? They're doing what they're doing right now because they feel that it's the only way to make it happen. That it's been 30 years, they've been trying to be patient, they've been trying to wait for elections, and like they feel like they win and they still can't get the wall, right? That's the Republican perspective. So if they're saying, from that perspective, yeah. But from the perspective of, you're watching somebody that you like, maybe they're streaming, maybe you're watching me, and I say something that you disagree with, you know. Some people, if they really consider themselves like a follower, and I don't think any of you guys do. I don't think there's a single one of you guys that think of it like that. But there are streamers out there that do, for sure.
Block
You know.
by.
Okay. Interesting. But there are people out there that definitely do with other streamers, right? You know, and if that streamer says something that's in disagreement with them, like, it's a big deal because they can't like reconcile what they believe with who they're following, and it's a problem. And so their solution very often is to try and beat the person that they're following into submission, and it never works that way, you know. Most traders who stick around long enough remember history more than those who only watch news and don't trade. Not necessarily a guarantee of conservatism, but rather stoicism and embracing nuance. Yeah. Well, I mean, a trader who sticks around long enough, I think, to really be successful in trading, that you have to be able to capture some degree of nuance, right? Well, there was a block buy there at 08.5, but they're not getting it to go bid, and I think that if I was going to take a short, that I would want to do it at 09. And if 09 goes bid, because there's 8,000 on there, unless it pulls or something, I don't know if that's a good sell. And look at the E-mini go. E-mini is kind of doing what I was saying. They're on the open and now they're going short. So that's this is going to get ugly. Yes. Why did retail sales plunge? Polar vortex, slamming Midwest, and government workers cutting spending during the shutdown. Yes. But doesn't that also mean that the poor retail sales that we saw today are going to be temporary, and that when the summer comes along, that things are going to start looking a lot better, and that you might even have some pent-up demand that's going to come out when spring comes? Because those are both things that are behind us. Okay, well, I do kind of like what happened there. I don't want to do it when the E-mini is careening into new lows, but I do kind of like what happened there at 09. Like, if I had gotten filled at 09, I would be okay with it at the moment. Anyways, my argument is still that the traders these days, retail traders particularly, tend to be conservative merely because the Democrat Party has attacked markets so much in the past 10 years that anybody that's like super liberal, the idea of basing your career on markets is like an evil thing to do. You know, I remember in 2008 they were lamenting how the banks were taking all of the good people, and that the really smart people should be going into something else other than the banks. You know? Okay. Oh wait, goes offer. Oh, 07 goes offer. So the problem with this is that I would like to be short right now, but I missed my opportunity at 09. I only gave one opportunity. And it may not go through a 07. Like, if I was short, I would have to be seriously considering taking it off at 07.5. Yeah, that's an ugly sound. But anyways, so I had pointed out that, your audience is probably going to be pretty conservative. And I think somebody said this comment right here: this is why it's pointless to argue with some people. Their tendency is to always want to be right instead of a productive exchange of ideas. Well, and this is where I kind of come in, is like, so I went back and I was like, okay, so what was it that Futures Trader 71 said during his stream that was so controversial? So I went back and watched it, and I didn't see what he said. He was just saying like what the news things were for the day and how the market appeared to be reacting to it. And then when he was starting to get into the technicals, he had some comment about, yeah, you see, I get to see whatever I want. And so I'm like confused, like, what was it that he said that somebody in chat? So I need to go back and watch it again with the chat up so that I can see what the person said that he's reacting to. But it was kind of like, yeah, people want to be right. And I think one of the things that you have a problem with is like, and then I've had a problem with this before, is like, we'll be sitting here and somebody says something that I don't think is correct, and I'm like, well, that's not true. That's not the way that markets work. And sometimes it's hard because sometimes I think people say things that I think could be like damaging to a new trader, like you say, this always happens. And then I'm like, well, it doesn't always happen. And I don't want some new trader to take that as like golden and then hold themselves back for years because they believe that thing and never go into it to understand the nuance of it. Right. And so it's really easy to get on somebody, especially when, you're on stream and you kind of have all the power and you can say whatever you want and you're not really forced to listen to people. And I think that if you're the person that's listening, I've been in that situation too, where you're the person that's trying to say something and they're disagreeing with you, but like they're not even taking the time to really even understand what you're really saying. I think that happens to us all the time, doesn't it? All the time, where I assume that you mean one thing and I'm going off on it, and then you don't drop it and we explain it a little bit more and I kind of understand a bit more where you're coming from. It's hard. And I think the problem is that people definitely do have like biases like that. I don't know, like 6K being traded there at 07. You could go long on that one. I don't know. If it ticks up and I get an opportunity at 7.5, I might take it long. Anyways, it's like people are like that, and I feel like you kind of have to factor it in and be a little strategic. Like this shutdown is a really good example. Because my recollection is, well, there was a lot trading there at that time too, but I do want this. My recollection is that even though I was skeptical that a shutdown would work, I seem to recall saying a couple of times, like, do it, just do it. And I'm not quite sure I understand or remember anymore why I was like, just get it on with. I think now in retrospect, I kind of feel like, okay, now we've proven once and for all that shutdown's not a very effective way of getting something. And they're probably going to think twice if they ever do it again. And so I think that alone is a positive thing. Now, of course, they need to get a reasonable budget passed first. And I don't even know if they can do that because what they're putting out there sounds crazy to me. But yeah, they're probably not going to use that again in the future. So it's a positive thing. But, I felt like it's probably not the best way for you to get something done. But I also knew that that's like people really wanted it. Like the conservatives really wanted it. No doubt about it. And, in the past, has shutdowns really hurt parties that much? The data that I've seen says no, actually. The data I've seen says that, Republicans, they did a shutdown and they actually made gains in Congress that year. And as long as it's far enough away from the election, people forget it and it doesn't matter. So was it really that big of a negative? Yeah, no. So, maybe that's one where strategically I think you just go along with it and see what happens. Because you can't win every time. But that's the whole thing is, people like to be right. And so you have to be strategic about when you're going to challenge people and when you're not. Because you can do that on the internet and get away with it every day. But when you're actually a politician or a famous person and what you say actually matters to people, it's a little bit of a different thing, isn't it? Yeah, that's my spill for today. What was this? -5 today, biggest losing day in 3 weeks. Wow. Well, -5. Well, I liked that trade that I took long there. That was good. And I did I make, I sold it at, I forgot, I sold it at 07.5. And I guess, I don't know quite how that worked out, how that ended up being worth 2 ticks, but it was worth 2 ticks, so I'm positive on the day. So that's cool. See, now they're absorbing at 08, so maybe they're going to push it up again. Good morning. Let's see a couple more people coming in today. Yep, and a weight half pulling a little bit. As the ES kind of says, maybe I'll do it again. Maybe I'll do it again. What you gonna do? Okay, block by there at 08.5. 8K iceberg. Nine gonna pull a little bit. There you go. 1,000 pulled. Not flipped yet though. I think that 23. Man, I do that a lot where I call out a number wrong, don't I? 23 even in the 5-year is not going bid. There's a big iceberg on it. And the E-mini is just looking ugly. Okay. Maybe not. I don't think I can go short 08 half though, so. But see, that 23 never went bid, and now the 22 3/4 is looking weak. Yeah, they're really flaky. They're not sure what equities are going to do, and they're trying to play it. That probably means I shouldn't, huh? That probably means I shouldn't. U.S. buying climate comfort gauge rises to highest since 2000. Oh, I didn't see that Donald Trump tweeted something. Disgraced FBI acting director Andrew McCabe pretends to be a poor little angel when in fact he was a big part of the crooked Hillary scandal and the Russian hoax. A puppet for leaking James Comey IG Inspector General report on McCabe was devastating. Part of insurance policy in case I won ... So there's more coming. Okay, there's 09. There's E-mini going for a new low. 09 didn't go offer. I mean, if you were sitting on the offer, you might have gotten filled. Kudlow says there are glitches in retail sales number. So that could really okay. So they recovered that in the E-mini really quickly. We went from glitches in the market to glitches in economic data, says Zero Hedge. Kudlow says hopefully Fed will now step aside. Okay. So this is a case where what he says could temporarily push the market up, but then after he's done, they could just continue through. So I don't know if like I said, if I could have sold 09, that would have been great. And then it could maybe get off at 07 half again. But otherwise, it's super hard to call. Kedla says retail sales affected by government shutdown. The shutdown was in January. This was a December number. Yep. Well, yes, but the whole shutdown thing was really like that whole week going into Christmas, right? And so any of the economic activity that you would normally see in the second half of December did kind of dry up. So I don't think that that's a fair assessment. In fact, I'm going to tweet back to him. Alligator feels like it's reversing. I'm still just not sure, guys. Like, I got problems. I feel conflicted with this just from a fundamental perspective. Because from a fundamental perspective, yes, retail sales were bad. But one, retail sales being bad for 1 month is not the end of the world. Two, there was a lot of stuff going on that, would lead to weak sales. There's been bad weather. There was a shutdown. The markets in general were just negative at that time, So there was that. And then the next thing is that this was 2 months ago. So, I mean, there's been retail trading in January. I'm sure that it's probably not spectacular in January either, because it's been super cold in January, February. But, I mean, it is 2 months behind us. So having that poor retail sales number, that could already be behind us. And equity markets are supposed to be forward looking. And then the other thing is that the PPI number, the core PPI number, was 0.3. So that's why I believe that this still has an opportunity to just really flip on us. Kudlow says he's delighted the Fed is on hold. Kudlow says no decision made on extending tariff deadline. White House advisor, trade negotiators to meet China's Xi tomorrow. See, this is where we were saying earlier, well, there doesn't seem to be as much interest in selling it lower. I have seen there was a little bit of selling there at 07.5, but it held, But is there really interest in pushing it higher either? Because I would not mind being short from 09 and it's not giving it to us. And they kind of gave you maybe a possible fill one time, and then ever since then, we had 350 go into it last time. So kind of both ways here, where it's stuck in a range and I don't see any reason for it to come out of it yet. And when it does, it's going to do it just like that, And if you're wrong, you're not going to have any opportunity to get out. So I hope that you're in from the right spot. See, there it is. It goes bid. Not a very strong bid. Couple hitting into 09, but you're never going to get filled there. Back down. And then 2K stacks on it. And the problem with this one is that, if somebody wants to sell, they're doing it at 0.5. And so if somebody's wanting to buy, he can take it there at 0.5. And then he can very easily make it tick up at 09, catch you, have everybody stop out at 09.5. Many of the top FBI brass were fired, forced to leave, or left. McCabe's wife received big dollars from Clinton people for her campaign. He gave Hillary a pass. McCabe is a disgrace to the FBI and a great disgrace to our country. Make America great again, says Donald Trump on Twitter. Why would he be talking about Andrew McCabe this morning? Hey, Ron, how's it going? You been trading this monster? Now, the other thing is, I think I'm getting a signal here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I am. I am, in fact, being told to go short, but there was like a zipper and it came out of it, and then the zipper again and it came out of it, and a zipper again. So I don't think I can take this one. What's the biggest order that you see on the DOM? I think it's that one at 05.5, isn't it? No. Wait, there's the one at 10. Oh, and there's one way up at 16. It's interesting how those ones at 16 that are way out can be so big. You don't know. What's the biggest order that I've seen on the DOM in my whole trading? Oh, man. I believe I've seen, oh, no, I know. I saw when there was one day, and when was this? I want to say that it was around March or April of last year, and it was on an options expiration day. And we had been trading quite a bit, and I had stayed home that day for, I don't remember why, but so I was watching it going into the close, the pit close, the options pit close. And because it was options expiration day, there was like tons of liquidity all of a sudden. And I saw, like, at one point, I think they had 30,000 on the bid in the 10-year. Yeah. And then the two guys just traded into each other at the very end, and that was that. And it was like, whoa. That was crazy. See, it's saying 08.5. It's saying that you should be able to get 07.5 and 07. But only traded 4 into 07.5. See this? There's 11. But there was another one going into it, and there was another one going into that. So this is not a signal that you can take. Oh my gosh, that's the best. That is the best. I'm totally saving that and putting it on my Facebook wall. Oh my gosh. Here, I'll show you guys here in a second. Here's my Valentine's Day card for this year. I love you like Jim Acosta loves Jim Acosta. Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious. I think that's so funny. Oh man. Oh, where did I put it to? Oh, it went to downloads. Oh, maybe they're giving you a shot at 09 again. The E-mini is kind of facing down. Okay, it started looking down and they recovered it. Not a lot going into 09. Yeah. Like, I'd like to get filled at 09, but I'm not confident enough to just put an order there like that and see if I get filled, you know? Because you know that it's like if you get filled, there's a good chance that they're just going right through you, you know? And there's that bid there in the 5-year. No. Nope. Could see some resumption if the E-mini falls back. Yep. And look, there's some icebergs on bids. Okay, 3,000 have traded into it, so maybe you would get a fill. But then you have an iceberg on the bid to contend with, which is not a good trade. Not necessarily a good setup. I think now to be able to trade 09, I would have to see 09 go bid and see them aggressively shoot it back down. The E-mini's looking better, though. It feels bad, man. Oh, JP Morgan rolls out first U.S. bank-backed cryptocurrency to transform payments business. Ooh, okay. JP Morgan coin. To settle things between clients. That's interesting. But I don't think that that's something that would be like a currency that you could like trade and make money off of, right? Probably not. They're using it like that because you don't want to use it to make a payment for your client and then the price of it changes and then they say, you fooled us because you said you would pay us with this, but then you made the value of it go down before we were able to redeem it or whatever it was, right? So you would say, we will always redeem this at a certain price. It would be like Tether. It'd be like JP Morgan Tether. Oh, they're going offer at 08, and there's another iceberg at 08. So if this price goes weak, I think I could potentially sell there. Okay. Three ticks lower than where I was initially thinking about it, and it's not staying offer. There we go. Alligator tried 08. Cool. Brainard, downside risks have definitely increased. Financial conditions have also tightened. taking that on board as a look at year ahead. Cool. I want to swing the index, but the margins are high. I can afford it, and I still want a lower overnight margin. Interest rates are low in margin, like a $1,000. It's a good choice after index since they kind of correlated. Yeah. Well, that's the problem with swing trading is that your probabilities and your risk rewards are actually a little bit better in some respects. But, it is for sure a lot more risk. The thing that's nice about the scalping is that your risk can be extremely defined. If you try and be as picky as I am, swing trading, you're just going to exit out of your trades at a loss every time. So when you're swing trading, it's kind of like, hey, well, here's a level that I think is going to hold, but really you have to be able to expect that it's going to probe your price a little bit. That was my takeaway, especially when like Peter was posting us his trades a lot. He would say, okay, I'm going short, and we would be seeing it moving down, and be like, well, it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. And then, you'd have a really good strong push, and then it would reverse. And then all of a sudden it was above his price. And then, he ended up making much, much more than he ever potentially risked. But, it probed beyond where he wanted it. He didn't catch the edge of it. Not even close. And then when we scalp, I'm always kind of looking for the edge of it, So, what's this? I think this is the one where I've got to be patient. Like, where would this potentially go to? Like, I think that at the very least we could see 0.3 I think that my 6 tick target down there is a pretty good one. I think that if we go through 0.6, yeah, we could come all the way back down to even 0.3 half is good. But this is like, I've seen this before where I got the good 2 ticks and then there was a little bit of pushback and it got slow here and I would get out at 0.6 half and then I always regretted it. So this time I think that I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I caught a good spot, or a good signal at least. I wouldn't say it was a good spot because the good spot was 0.9, but I caught a good signal. I should let this one play out. And I think that if it goes all the way, it could come down to 0.3 half. So I'm going to put that down there at 0.3 half just in case there's like a really crazy rush or something. Smoking Pips actually did go short there. He said I'm short from 0.8 half and I'm looking for 0.3 half. So I wonder, because the one that was really thinking long was Swisso. I don't know if he's still here anymore, but he really thought that we could maybe go higher. I think he saw a good signal there. Like, that was kind of what made me take profit on that one. But I think he interpreted it as maybe we could go higher, when really the signal was just that we're going to be range bound for a little while now. Bannered balance sheet normalization should probably come to an end this year, in my view. Okay, so there's an iceberg at 0.6. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. That would be one of the spots where I would maybe get out before the target that I see on the larger chart. E-mini is really recovering now. They're almost above the VWAP. Oh yeah, if you want to swing trade, you can swing with at the money vertical spreads. Could be. Interesting. Howard Schultz's national favorability rating is 12% positive, 25% negative, underwater by about a 2-to-1 ratio across party lines. But 63% of Americans have no opinion of him. That is wild. That is really wild. I kind of like him. Like, I don't want him to be president, obviously, because I'm a Republican. But I would certainly prefer him as the Democrat nominee to any of the other people that are running right now. Maybe Biden would be okay. I mean, let me rephrase that. If Biden won, we wouldn't get a socialist, then that would be good. Because right now it seems like Biden's the only one on the short list that's not like all in on the socialism thing, you know? I only know how to click buy or sell at the market. Well, but that's how you do it in options. It's just that you open up a bunch of markets and you take a position in all of them. And you do it at different prices. Yeah, it is confusing. Now that I think about it. Buy one strike in the money, sell one strike out of the money with risk 1 to make 1 and take a profit at 50% of the max profit. Why 50% of the max profit? Now that's interesting. I haven't heard that before. Because when I did those things, you know, like I bought one and I sold one on the expectation that it's going to go out. I got out when it got to my high end. And I looked at the chart to say this is where it's going to go, or I'm pretty sure it's going to go to, you know, to say that it was, okay, just because it increases your win rate. Okay, well, I have to get out a piece of paper and pencil and see if that really, the amount that it increases your win rate, or by what percentage it would have to increase your win rate for it to be more profitable than the double profit. And you would risk, but you would also have to be risking half of it too, right? Because when I did it, I always considered it like, well, I wouldn't take it. You still have to pick your spots though, right? Because I wouldn't take it unless I had like 2-to-1, well, but more preferably 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 risk reward. So I really had to see some sort of like really bizarre mispricing in the market that was off kilter with what I believed to take it. And then it was, you know, if it turned out, then you made 3 times your money. And if it didn't turn out, then you lost what you put in there. And you just only put in a little bit, you know, like only 500 or whatever. Yeah, see that tick down, they were trying to show it like that it was reversing, and the bid was stronger than the offer for a second there, and then it ticked down again and they dumped 3,000 on it. The offer at 05.5 is not pulling. 21 probably needs to go offer in the 5-year to see anything, but I'm okay with what's happening right now. Now on predicted, that's how I do it on predicted too. Is I have a set amount that I say I'll put $10 on a trade, and I only go into one where the market is significantly off kilter from what I know. Like the one I'm in right now is the market seems to really think that Beto O'Rourke is going to run for president, and I really don't think he's going to. So it goes bid again, and that time it was 2,000. because it may be too much to trade there to 06. When you risk 1 to make 2, you're reducing your probabilities in terms of Gaussian distribution and Brownian motion. Sure. So you're saying your risk reward are equal? Risk 1 to make 1 and take profit at 50% of the max profit. So you would do what I would do, like in terms of pricing it. Like you would buy your out of the money thing to where you would probably double or triple your money, but you're only taking half of it, so your risk reward is actually equal. And then your probability is maybe actually a little better than 50% sometimes, depending on what the standard deviation of that, or what do we want to say, like the average true range of that instrument over the time period that you're planning on holding it. And because of time decay, you probably do want to get your profit target to be a good spot. Well, I don't like that 05.5 is stacking up to 7. I also don't like that the E-mini is not yet strongly buying up above the VWAP. It's still just kind of rotating around the VWAP at 27.43. Okay. So it goes offer again. Strong offer this time, 4,000. There was 7 on the 5 at one point. So 1,500 I've pulled off of it on the downtick, which is normal. If I start seeing this get down to like 4,000, then I think that this price is going to break. If the strikes are $5 wide, you would risk 250 to make 250 and manage the winner and not hold until max profit. Okay. Oh, cool. So you're saying you can take it, you can risk 1 to make 1, but then when you make 1, you can, at that point, you can just manage it. And if you see that it's not going to go any further, you can take it off. But, if you're catching a run, then you just let it keep going until it gets to the top. And then, of course, when it gets to the top, you just take it because there's no reason to hold it any longer than that. You'll just lose money on the time decay. Pretty strong offer at 06. Okay, so it's still a strong offer. It's still 4,000, but a couple of bids came back on. They stacked up to 76 before it finally ticked up. That is not a good sign. And how long did it down? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so it could do the 11 here again. Ergo, I should take it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know. The problem with options is that it's hard to practice. Yeah. This I can practice. Can take 4 or 5 trades a day, you know? Options, you gotta give them time and stuff, and especially, and you can't really, do options sim either. You know? With, you have to have live data, and the markets are so thin that you really don't know what price you're gonna get on sim. It's not very accurate, so it's really hard to practice options. I'm actually quite shocked at the number of people that you see on, like, say, the Wall Street Bets subreddit, you know, taking those options, risky options trades. I'm just surprised that many people are willing to do that. I guess options is where the money's at these days, though. There's no way to sim, and it is very difficult to backtest. Right. Now, on the other hand, you do have a lot of what's the word? I mean, you have a lot of statistical data in your, to rely on, right? Like when you take options trades, what is the average true range? Like if I plan on holding it for a week, what is the average true range of this instrument? And what are they pricing in? And is that in line with, are those things not in line? If they're not in line, why might they not be in line? Why does the market seem to think that it's not going to get that high or that low or whatever it is, And you can kind of do the math. And so at least in options, that your risk reward and probability that you're taking on that trade, like, are well defined. You don't have to just sit there and say, well, I think that there's maybe a 50% chance that it could go lower. Like right now, I don't really know what, in my head, it's 50-50 because I really don't know if there's a reason for it to be more likely to go down or not. But in options, you can make some sort of a calculation to say that the market is pricing in this percent probability that it's going to go up or down or whatever. If you trade at the money vertical spreads with a risk on one to make one, it is a very pure trade in terms of price action. Gotcha. It sounds like what you're talking about is very much like a scalp and options trade to some extent. Granted, you can scalp like what we're scalping right now in options is possible, but then chances are that you probably end up doing things much more complicated than that, one way or another. Anyways, you see a price that you don't think you should be able to get, and you catch it, and okay, so now it's giving me the zipper setup 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm really unsure about this one, but it's a good signal. The stacking and pulling has been long, even through that whole pullback. Stacking or pulling do not counter market. If it's a pullback of price, it is a pullback of stacking and pulling. Sure. It's just unusual, right? Okay. Well, they took at 05 half, and it shouldn't trade through 05. Labour leader Corbyn to hold Brexit talks with EU Barnier Verhofstadt next week, says The Guardian. Hmm. Okay, so that's no good. I'm a little skeptical about what the E-mini is doing. It's not far enough. Like, you could go to one standard deviation above this and it would still be fine. Oh, look at that. That's curious. Fine. That shouldn't have been -3. It sucks. Most people confuse large swings as strength and small rotations as weakness, when in fact it's the opposite. Uh, I get what you're saying. Like, I'm thinking through that, and I feel like it's a little bit more nuanced than that, right? You know, like, I can see a really strong swing, and it really is a sign of strength, and I've seen a really strong swing, and it was an exhaustion move. You know, stacking pulling is not a trick. It is not an iceberg. It did not go up when price can go down. It is with the price. No, but I'm just saying that the overall on that move down, the the offers tended to be pulling more than the bids, and the bids tended to be stacking more than the offers through that whole thing. And so, in general, there was more absorption buying in that area than there was absorption selling. That's all it means. Is that not accurate? No, that is how it works. He says, no, that's not how it works. How is that not? Do I not understand the way that the indicator works? The way that the indicator works is it's telling you how much is stacking and pulling on the bids and offers is happening in a relative fashion. That's all it says. If that thing is blue, then that means that the the bids tend not to be pulling away. The offers tend to be pulling away. The bids tend to be stacking. The offers tend not to be stacking. That makes it blue. Offer is not a pull when price is go down. No. If price goes down, look, if I have 6,000 on the bid, okay? Or, well, let's just do what we have right here. If I have 23 and that 23 stays and volume trades into it, okay, like right there, 28. So there was actually more on it than what it said, okay, 28. Then if we were to tick back up and the 64 pulled down to 1,000, then I would see blue on that column. That's what it means. So it's an indication that the passive buyers are still somewhat willing to take it. That doesn't mean that it's not going to tick down. But generally speaking, if we move down, this column is going to be red, and it's not. That's unusual. That's not typical. Normally, it's like what these other two are. See? We move down, it's mostly red. Let me circle it here for you guys. Okay. Corbyn, to meet EU's Barnier and bid. No, U.S.-China trade teams said to be far apart on reform demands. So we buy it. Hmm. That was crazy. Okay. Well, okay for futures, but I'm just saying I'm you're saying that is not indicative of like the way that the market works or whatever it is that I'm saying. And what I'm saying is I did not say that it was. I only pointed out that the indicator is blue and that is not normal. Right? For whatever reason, there was some people that were still buying that. The US and China have made little progress so far during trade talks in Beijing, leaving much work to be done before President Donald Trump and his counterpart Xi Jinping look to seal a deal at a yet to be scheduled summit, according to people familiar with discussions. Jeez. Was that an impulsive trade you just took on the news? I wouldn't say impulsive. You're not gonna give it to me, huh? I mean, I did say, okay, this is what the news is. I buy it. I got a few ticks out of it. But it's coming back pretty strongly, isn't it? Yeah, I would say that it is a part of the playbook. I don't know if the price that I got was super amazing or anything. Oh 07. Yeah, I don't know. Oh 06 is probably the place that we should be taking it, and I got oh 06 half. I was trying to scalp ticks there though, and it didn't work at oh 07 half, did it? The ES recovered that fast. I think that that's probably all they get, and they might turn down again. That's going to be tough to hold. Hmm. Shoot, should not be going offer at 05. Stock erase, Kudlow bounce on reports U.S. China far apart on trade deal. Now I wonder, you would think that Kudlow would say something about that, right? That's kind of curious. That Kudlow was on TV earlier today and he was talking markets up, and then we get news about the trade talks that you would think that he would be privy to. You know what I'm saying? You smelling what I'm stepping in? There's the E-mini pushing. Now we'll see if they make a new low or not. Well, I think the trade is long, but clearly the spots that I took weren't right. Yeah, you can ask. Sure. We're waiting. What do you mean? What are we waiting for? To take it off? To puke? Hmm. Okay. I mean, that's what you should see. No, you shouldn't see that 42, though. The E-mini did not just completely go down there. Hmm. So here's another thing that I don't get. Trade talks are less significant than negative retail sales. We had the negative retail sales. The market fell good 30 points, 35 points, I think. Trade talks are falling apart, and we're possibly moving higher. No, the indicator is right. The indicator tells you something. What does the indicator tell you? The indicator tells you that there was more limit buying than limit selling, and that there was um, more sell pulling than there was buy pulling. It's not wrong. Well, this is very painful for me, isn't it? I mean, that's what I want. Right. Oops. Right there. That was a fat finger. Okay. I don't know what it is that you want me to say, Fishers. What all I'm saying is, here's an indicator. This is what the indicator tells you. This is how it's calculated. And that it is unusual for us to have significant downside price action and the indicator still be blue. Those two things are hard facts. Like, I can go back and I can do a statistical analysis. I can show you the code. That is the way that the indicator works. Okay? Now, if you're making any point other than that, I don't really care what the point is, because I never said that. I've only said this is the indicator, and this is the way that it tends to behave, and it's not behaving the way that it tends to behave. That's all I said. Yeah? Is that fair? Or is that not fair? Tell me. I want to know. I'm not trying to be like a dick to you or anything. I'm trying to make sure that we're on the same page here. So did Yoda get out at 16? No, he lost 2 ticks and now he's going long again. That's funny. Hmm. It's curious to me that it is behaving this way. Oh, you know what? I'm wondering, didn't I have a thing here to say, like, that 05 half is not coming up. I think that we should move up from here, but I could be, like, dead fucking wrong. Center parameters. Huh. I thought there was a way to change the way that the profit is put so that it shows you. I think maybe I already have it like that though. So I don't know. We'll see. So I don't know. I made a couple of. I just want to say I don't know if the people caught that, but I think that there was some mistakes that I made in there. Right. There was a fat finger in there, and there was I didn't have the stop set correctly and everything. And probably should have puked on that when it came back down, and then been able to get long in here. And Donald will fuck your trades today, anyways. Maybe. You know, he was on the twit. He was on the prowl, but I don't think. I think he already said his piece. Okay, finally. Reform demands in particular is a little disconcerting. Because that means that they still disagree on the most fundamental parts about the whole trade with China. They're saying, sure, we'll deal with you. We'll buy all of this stuff, but they don't actually want to change the situation. And the U.S. isn't going to go for that. Well, the E-mini is moving back down again. Will they go for lows, though, is the question. Trump to be briefed on government funding deal at 11 a.m., so in 4 minutes, apparently. Now we should clear that. Okay. It's kind of weird to me. As of the past few days, the 5-year and the 10-year have not really been very much in line in terms of their which price is strong or weak in the level 2. Well, that tick down is like should not be happening. Like, why would that 05 pull so easily? Hmm. Honestly, every time the market was this overbought, a significant correction followed. As of this, what are you seeing? By what metric is the market this overbought? Oh, I didn't even realize what time it was, guys. So I'm going to post my notes, and I hope this works. Okay. Right, I'm gonna be tapping here. The U.S. Q4 GDP downgrades have begun. Trump privately gripes that Republicans were outplayed by Democrats. He's right. He's right. Democrats all held the line. Republicans didn't. They went and did the vote thing. It was clear that they couldn't hold this position. A couple of Republicans said some dumb things. I don't think that a shutdown is a good way to get what you want, but they could have done a better job at it still. And maybe potentially still have gotten something from it. But now, as it stands, yeah, it's just going to be a disaster. And if they sign this bill, it could be really ugly. Like, the base could get really pissed if this is the bill that they end up getting. I don't think Donald Trump would be the one that pays for it, but there'd be blood in the Republican primaries. Make no doubt. I reviewed a recording of how I lost ticks after ticks this morning, and now it makes sense why I sold every time into buying pressure without seeing sellers interested in selling. I bought right into selling pressure while buyers were running for the door and made a revenge trade because why not? Yeah, I wouldn't get yourself up too much. I mean, maybe the specific spots that you were seeing were bad and everything, but I'm just saying I saw many times on the way up places where there was definitely some people looking at selling it, and quite aggressively so, and they lost. So, if that's happening to them, then that means that yeah, sometimes it's gonna happen to you too. Obviously, I should have gone long at some point along that trend up, and I just was never able to because they didn't give me a spot that I really liked until it was like really going, and then I just take a tiny little one. Now this trade here that I'm on right now is not good, right? Because it came back on me pretty strong. I don't remember where I was in from. I guess I was in from 6 I was in from 6, and it's come back, and I was on 2 contracts, and that's why I'm kind of in a tough spot. I really think that the market should be going down, but it's not. It's been long enough that I have to think about just exiting, and it is like past my time. So as much as I really think that we should go up, this is a very disappointing end to an exciting day. I just think after the first time sellers lost, I should have changed my bias and be careful about selling. Totally. Well, let me put it a different way. Or the way that I think about it, rather. Let me tell you how I think about that kind of an action. There was a piece of news, there was a significant reaction off of that news. The chances are that they're going to keep going in that direction until they overextend themselves or the situation changes. So I thought at one point that they were overextending themselves, and I took it. But they really, it was kind of like, well, they're maybe overextending themselves, and then they never took that next step. And that's why I have like these ones up here that are like, -1, -2. Makes sense? And when I'm thinking overextending themselves, I'm thinking like they're going to come up and there's going to be like a stop run up here, and then it comes back down really quickly, and there's a stop run and there's tons of absorption on it, and like that's a really good after the news kind of like if it's a couple of minutes after the news, that could potentially be a really good reversal, or just any time that it's moving a lot. Good grief, guys. Anyways. And the other thing that I say is when you've got 2 or 3 losers in a row, you have to think about stopping. Because if you're scalping and the trades that you're taking tend to be 50-50, then the probability of you getting 3 losers in a row, or 4 losers, especially 4 losers in the row, is quite low, and you're doing something wrong. And especially if you've taken them, like you went long, and you lost on all 3 of them, then you should probably stop. So you're probably not viewing the action objectively. See, this is not... I really don't see how, with the way that it's behaving, that Treasuries take a step lower from here. I really don't. But I just don't have the time, unfortunately, to sit here and wait it out. But I really think that the E-mini is going to have to go for the lows again. Sure. Okay. So I did kind of recover myself a little bit there. But the way that trade happened was wrong. I think, somebody who was earlier was asking, was that like an impulsive trade? I think when I hear news like that and I know what the market is going to react, and I'm already seeing the market reacting to it, and I can get more, like, that's an okay trade for sure. But I don't think that I managed it very well. I could have taken the 2 off of it at the beginning, and then I could have bought at 05 and potentially have gotten 3 off of that. So that's where I say I don't think the way that I managed that was according to plan, but I do think that going long after hearing that news in some form or another is part of the plan. Maybe at '06 was not the best spot, but that's what was available to me at the time, and that's what made sense. I don't know. I should definitely. I will maybe rewatch that, and I will maybe. I think that I was kind of yapping when it happened, and so I might not have had a very clear picture of what was going on. So that might have been part of it too. Yes, I should have stopped. When watching the recordings, I immediately knew what I did wrong and why. So the hard thing is to try and understand what was going on with me that made me trade that way. Well, no, I mean, here's what I think is probably happening. Is you get into a mode where fading the market is the right way to trade, right? Especially in the summer. Fading the market is the right way to trade. And then all of a sudden, the market turns around and becomes a market that's trending, and you have like this habit already programmed into your head, and it's so hard to start doing the opposite thing, That's where I think the real. Well, I've said this many times, but in my opinion, for me, the thing that I've noticed that would have helped me the most if I had been watching for from the very beginning was to say, understand when the market is going to be trending and when it's going to be range bound. Try to predict before it happens when it's going to happen. Realize when it's happening. Adjust your strategy when it's happening. And the problem that you're running into is adjusting the strategy when it's happening. You are probably more used to fading the market. And so when it's time to turn around, your brain just doesn't want to do it. So I have the opposite problem, because for me, it's like I've had so much success with trending markets that I just love it when I see that sort of a thing. Like this one when I bought, I think it was 07.5. Yeah, when I bought 07.5, and then they decided to take a little bit of a run there. Or no, it was the short. It was when I sold 07.5. Remember, I was saying I would have loved to have sold 09, and I don't really want to sell below 08.5, but then it came down to 07.5, and I saw the trend indicator, and I said, well, I can take that one and get a couple of ticks on it, right? And to me, that's just like second nature, because I've traded that successfully so many times that pathway has been reinforced in my head. Every time you take a trade and you make money from it, and you feel good about it, that is the brain pathway becoming stronger. That's why it's bad to like make a profit on a mistake. You know what I mean? Because your brain will reinforce that pathway. So that's where I think the trick is. So you really have to consciously say, before I trade, what is the context of the day? The context of the day today is that we had a PPI number, and retail sales ended up being like a really big deal. And now we just had some trade deals. So this is a market that could continue to trade back and forth. We may, as of yet, make new highs. It's not out of the question. We may completely reverse this thing in Treasuries. That's not out of the question. This range that we're having between 05 and 07 is probably not going to hold for the rest of the day. They're probably going to break out of it at one point because of the context of the day. And every time that you take a trade, you have to say that to yourself. And you have to say, am I really taking a trade in the right spot given the context of the day? Regardless of whether I think it's long or short. So, and then the last thing though, Lucas, is don't beat yourself up too much. Because I tend to beat myself up a lot, don't I? And when you beat yourself up too much, that will screw you up for the next day, right? You like changes your mindset, and it changes your chemicals, and all of a sudden they're all of a sudden you're digging yourself in a hole, and it's hard to dig yourself out. So, like this me, I have to look at this and say, well, up until that news, I was actually doing pretty darned good. And hey, you know what? I made a mistake. It's okay. It was pretty crazy action. So, you would expect that would be the kind of place where you would maybe make a mistake. And I think I know where I screwed up on. And yeah, we can do better, and it's okay, because there's still tomorrow, and given the kind of action that we're seeing in the market, next week would normally be a pretty quiet time, but if markets continue to be like this, it could get really crazy. So yeah. Anyways, I am like way gonna be. I mean, I think I can still make it into work on time, but I'm like way late. So I will catch you guys tomorrow. Enjoyed the chat today. I didn't understand that thing with Fib futures, honestly. I think you guys have just misinterpreted what I said, like that I was trying to say that you should go long here, although it wouldn't have been a bad idea. So just saying, but that's not what I was trying to say. I was just trying to point out something that I thought was weird. But so I hope you guys are all cool over that. But anyways, everything else is great. I enjoyed today, so I will see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.